Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode on No, but seriously, let me explain. Hosted by the beautiful, intelligent Earth Angel DàVie. This podcast was designed to provide detailed business advice, next-level resources, personal credit tips, and relatable relationship knowledge. Be sure to bookmark this page and subscribe because we wouldn't want you to miss any valuable content. And if you're struggling with poor credit, don't even worry about it. Just text Help My Credit to 507-400-3426. That's 507-400-3426. We have live agents standing by to cater to all your service requests. And now that that's out the way, let's make room for what the host has to say. DàVie, do your thing, girl.
Welcome to No, but seriously, let me explain. The phenomenal podcast series that will keep you fully engaged with all the tips and tricks you need in order to be successful, while also giving you plenty of flavor. I am your host, DàVie, and today we will discuss safeguard success. How can you shield yourself from potential threats and safeguard your financial future? No, but seriously, let me explain. Establishing a trust account can definitely be one of the ways that you can protect and manage your assets while ensuring that they're definitely distributed accordingly to your wishes, of course. And the best part about that is not as complicated as you may think. Let me tell you a quick story about Sarah. It was a bright and sunny day when Sarah decided to create a trust account. She had always been this responsible person, and she's always been planning for her future ever since she was young, of course. She had landed this really high-paying job out of college, of course, and she had been saving a decent amount of income since then. Sarah has always been very passionate about helping others and wanted to make a difference in the world. She wanted to set up a trust fund that would provide financial aid to any of the underprivileged students who wanted to pursue higher education. She had researched thoroughly and had a clear understanding of how to create a trust fund and how it would work. So she contacted her lawyer, who helped her set up the trust fund account, of course. She named the trust fund Bridge Future Trust Fund, I believe it is. And then she deposited a nice amount of money into that trust fund. And she also decided that she wanted to add some type of clause to that fund that will continue to receive contributions from her yearly income every year. Soon enough, the news of this trust fund had spread like wildfire. Like, people started reaching out to her, like wanting to contribute to the fund. And Sarah, she was really over elated just by the number of responses that she received. And she really couldn't believe how much love and support she was receiving just based off of her desire to help others and what she had done just by setting up this trust fund. The trust fund had become a community effort after so many years, and Sarah became one of the faces of this trust fund, of course. She never really imagined in all of her years that she would even have something like this turn into something so big. And she was very happy, and she was definitely making a difference in the world and in people's lives. Years went by, and the trust fund continued to grow. It had helped so many students achieve their dreams. And Sarah, she just really became an inspirational story in many ways. And she just really never felt more content with her life. And to this day, Sarah, she's definitely continuing her success, as well as continuing to allow this trust fund to constantly grow. I believe it's well over $2.5 million, even with ongoing distributions coming out for students. So she's definitely had much success in that area. And her story is definitely a testament to the power of the community and how small initiatives like this could lead to really large, significant changes in the long run. And Sarah, she definitely knew that having this trust fund would continue to make a difference for years to come. So I'm sure she was very grateful to be a part of something like this. So when you're thinking of trust funds, I want you to think of them as little gift boxes that people could set up to hold their money or valuable items, of course. They use these gift boxes and someone else is going to hold on to it, of course. And that person is known as the trustee. And this has to follow a certain set of rules, of course, about how that money is going to be used and when it's going to be given to the person, the gift box user, of course. And this is going to be the beneficiary, who's going to be the person who's going to have that gift box, of course. And there's a number of different types of gift boxes, trust funds. My terminology is gift boxes, but they're trust funds. And these trust funds can be set up depending on what they want to accomplish. And I'm going to give you a little overview of some examples of some of the trust funds that you can set up. And these are very common. You will have a revocable living trust. This is a gift box that you can change at any time, of course. You can take things, you can put things in it, and you can take things out of it, add new things, and you can even decide to close the box altogether if you choose. You also have the irrevocable trust. This is a gift box that you cannot change your mind about once you give it away. You put things in the box and you give it to the trustee to hold on to for the beneficiary. And you can't take them out ever again, okay? However, this type of trust can offer some tax benefits. So keep that in mind as well. Then you have what we like to call a spendthrift trust. This is a gift box that has rules about how money can be used. For example, you might set up a spendthrift trust for a child who isn't very good with money, or so that the trustee can only give them a certain amount each year and can't give them a lump sum all at once. So you might want to set that up for I'm not going to say your negligent child or your adolescent child that's running around just spending frivolously and you don't want them to spend all of Papa's money. But no, you can definitely create trust. And when you do this, you need someone who's going to be the trustee for that account. And the trustee is just basically someone who is an important factor of this trust account. The trust will be a legal arrangement where someone is called the trustee, holds and manages things like the money and the property for someone else who's called the beneficiary. The trustee has to manage the trust according to the instructions written inside of that trust agreement. And these instructions say how things will be ran and, how you're going to give them to the beneficiaries, of course. And the reason why you really need a trustee is to make sure that things in the trust are ran smooth as possible. Like you want to have some type of manager of that policy, if you will. And the trustee has a job that's going to act in a way that's best for the beneficiaries. And they're going to be able to manage everything in trust, of course, carefully and responsibly for you. Also, as the trustee protects things in the trust, usually the trustee is a professional who has a lot of experience in managing trust. So it won't be just somebody that you know, your uncle, your cousin's little baby sister, brother. No, it's going to be somebody that has some experience in managing trust. So this person, they're going to be good with knowing how to handle the legal and the financial things that needs to be done with this, of course. This knowledge is definitely going to help stop in any type of bad mistakes or mismanagement of things in that trust. And this could definitely hurt the beneficiaries in the long run if it's mismanaged by the wrong person. So definitely make sure that you're selecting the best trustee that's going to protect these assets for you. And as I talk about these trust accounts, I understand that some people may think that a simple will could do just the job as well. However, let's make sure that you're understanding and you're keeping in mind that a will can cause a lot of headaches for your loved ones in the long run. And they have to deal with this on your behalf. Like with wills will often keep you in probate court, okay? Let's just go ahead and keep it real. Who wants to be wrapped up in probate court? No one. And then on top of that, not to mention the scattered assets that's going to be mismanaged in probate court. And this can take months to sort out. Trust me, no one in their right mind wants to go through this hassle. So a trust account can make things much smoother, much easier for everyone involved. Having a will is like having a blueprint for your legacy. But having a living trust is like giving your legacy a blueprint for how to continue without you. Using a irrevocable trust instead of a will can help you avoid all these probate fees and expenses for your assets that's been transferred to the trust while you're alive and remained in a trust when you pass away. However, if you forget to transfer an asset to your trust, like a home, you may end up subjecting that asset to probate fees at your time of death. And to avoid this, it's really important to keep all of your assets in a trust if you're using it as your estate planning tool. Like in states like California, where probate fees can be really high, but not as much in states like Washington, where probate fees are much lower. The cost of creating and funding a revocable living trust is typically much higher than creating a will. So you should weigh the initial cost and the ongoing cost of creating and funding and maintaining a trust against the ultimate possibilities of the cost for probate. And these may definitely occur far into the future. So just keep that in mind when you're weighing out your options and trying to figure out which method will be the best option for you. When you decide to establish a trust account versus having a living will, these are very different estate planning tools that serve very different purposes. While a living will outlines your healthcare wishes in the event that you become incapacitated, a trust account is a legal arrangement in which the trustee will hold a lot of the information that's inside of that trust and manage that trust for you. And some of the reasons why we like to establish trust accounts is to avoid the probate. And we talked about this already, like the probate is a legal process in which the court oversees the distribution of your assets when your deceased person passes away. And the probate can be very time consuming. It's an expensive process, and the assets go through probate. They're subject to creditors' claims and potential challenges from other heirs. But when you place your assets in a trust, they can be distributed to the beneficiaries outside of probate. So you don't have to worry about any type of probate hassle with that. And not to mention, you get to maintain your privacy. Probate proceedings are public records, which means that anyone can access that information about your estate and about your beneficiaries. And who wants their public information out there on Front Street? Like, no, I don't want my heirs to be held up under radar. But if you're using a trust, you can definitely keep your affairs private and avoid any potential disputes amongst your family members. Like, can you imagine going into the courts and seeing that your little brother got more than the bigger sister because the little brother was more responsible than the bigger sister? Like, that's a fight. Like, that's a fight between the siblings. Like, who wants to see that? So let's keep our affairs private. Okay. And not to mention, you got control over the distribution. Your trust allows you to control how and when the assets are being distributed to the beneficiaries. And like, for an example, you may want to distribute some type of asset to a minor child over a period of time rather than at once. You will put this into a clause on your trust account. In that clause, you would say, hey, I want to pay so-and-so $26,000 per year to cover their household expenses and to cover a portion of their vehicle expenses, and they will have to cover the balance. So whatever their living arrangements. So you can basically write that in just to make sure that that child has some type of income coming in and they're not doing bad. However you want to word it, you have full control over that. And another benefit is protecting your assets from creditors, lawsuits, and divorce settlements. Like, you don't want to go through a divorce settlement and have all of your assets taken, like all of your hard work just taken. And having protection like this can be especially important if you have this high-risk profession. Of course, this wealthy, well-known football player, basketball player, rapper, whoever you are, you're high-risk profession. And people may want to take control of your assets. So in this case, having a trust account will be beneficial for you. And if you want to ensure that your assets are protected for future generations, having a trust account is the way to go. And if you're one of my frequent listeners and you listened to my previous episode, Profit Party, I went into full details on all the benefits on how to obtain IRAs as income sources for retirement. Now, knowing that we had this big profit party, now let's go ahead and discuss the benefits of having a Roth IRA in the name of the revocable trust just for a minute. By placing a Roth IRA in a revocable trust, you can control how and when the assets are distributed to the beneficiaries. This can be important if you have multiple beneficiaries or if you want to ensure that the assets are being used for a specific purpose, such as education or healthcare, something like that. And your Roth IRAs are protected from creditors, of course, under the federal law, but this protection may be lost if the IRA is inherited by a non-spouse beneficiary. However, by placing the Roth IRA into a trust, you can ensure that the assets are protected for all the beneficiaries. And of course, you avoid the probate. And then there's this big tax advantage. Like an irrevocable trust can be used as a broader tax planning strategy. For example, you may want to use a trust to maximize your estate taxes or to ensure that your beneficiaries are able to take advantage of the Roth IRA's tax-free growth potential. And that's just another reason why you should have the Roth IRA in the name of the revocable trust. And we can all understand and we can agree that creating a trust is a great estate planning strategy just to protect your assets. A revocable trust is a popular option, in my opinion. It's very popular for many individuals that want to change or revoke something during their lifetime. However, upon your passing, it can be converted into an irrevocable trust. And you can definitely write that into the clause if you decide to go for a revocable trust, that is. Go back to the terms of what the revocable trust is if you forgot up to this point. I know I've given out a lot of information and this could be like, woo, but nonetheless, you got this. And from here out, just know that a irrevocable trust will provide you with a even greater asset protection than a revocable trust can. But knowing that once it's created, just know you can't change this type of trust once you create a irrevocable trust. That's the reason why it's called a irrevocable trust. Okay? But ultimately, choosing between a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust really depends on your individual circumstances and your goals. So it will be wise to seek some type of advice from an experienced estate planning attorney or someone that could help you make informed decisions just to ensure that your assets are protected according to your wishes. When I first began searching for trust options, I found myself very much overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. And I really didn't know how to proceed and which direction to go. And as a beginner with no experience in this field, I really knew that I needed to approach this decision-making process with some caution. Like, I didn't want to approach this, with just curious minds and just doing whatever. So I took a lot of consideration and decided to make moves that were beneficial for me. And after careful consideration, I ultimately decided to create a living trust, also known as a revocable trust, just to ensure that my wishes were accurately reflected in that document. I attached certain stipulations to it that included like this extensive Schedule A that outlined all of my assets and my properties that will be included in this trust. Like, I even listed my business in this thing, like from my business down to every last one of my books that I've written. I put this thing in here. Like, I didn't want to leave anything out. And additionally, I did consult with several different legal and financial experts just to ensure that my trust was properly constructed and would be providing the maximum protection and benefits that I desired, because that was the overall goal, of course. Yes. Yes, it was. All in all, while the process of creating a trust, it can definitely be a little crazy kooky in the beginning. But when you carefully sit back and you pay attention to the details and you do your research and you do your homework, it is very likely and it's very possible to create some type of document that can accurately reflect your wishes and provide you with a peace of mind for you and your loved ones, of course. However, in all seriousness, if you could create a trust fund for anyone in the world, who would it be and why? And how would you go about setting up this trust fund just to ensure their financial security, or just to ensure that they're financially secure in the long run? Like, this is something that you want to ask yourself. Like, what would you do if you could leave a legacy for your loved ones that lasts beyond a lifetime? Have you ever created a trust before or considered creating a trust fund? Are you at a level right now in your financial planning game where you're able to provide a safety net for your family's future? These are important questions that you should ask yourself always before you even begin to start planning for retirement. Like, do you want to make financial planning fun and this exciting experience for yourself and for your family? Like, is that something that's a part of a goal? And why not explore the benefits of creating a trust fund just to provide some type of cushion in the long run? And some steps that you can definitely take today to start creating this trust fund in a fun, simple way. You first want to determine the purpose of that trust fund. Think about what the trust fund is for and who it will benefit. Will it be for your children's education? Will you use it for your grandchildren's future? Or would you use it for a charitable cause or to support some type of mission? Like, whatever you decide, you want to make sure that you're placing the assets in a dedicated place where you can actually fund the trust with cash, you can fund it with stocks, you can fund it with real estate or any other assets that you own. Just make sure that you're consulting with a financial advisor or an attorney, some type of estate attorney, just to ensure that you're making the best choices for your overall situation. And then you're going to draft this trust document. This will become a legal document that establishes the trust and it outlines the terms and the conditions. You will work very closely with this attorney when you do draft this document, and you will use some type of online service to create it if need be. If you don't have like an expensive pocketbook or you don't have deep pockets, you can totally go online and use an online service just to create your trust template. And I will provide a link down in the description box for this podcast. And you can definitely click on one of those templates to use. Once you do that, you want to make sure that you fund the trust. Once the trust agreement is signed, you transfer the assets that you've chosen to put into the trust, of course. And the trustee will then take over managing these assets according to the terms of that trust. And of course, you'll be able to communicate with your beneficiaries. It's always important to let your beneficiaries know about the trust fund and how it will benefit them in the long run. And you can also make it fun by hosting a family meeting or sending out some type of creative announcement that highlights all the exciting possibilities that trust fund will offer. Now that you've had all this good knowledge, if you have any type of life insurance policies, stocks, bonds, or property deeds, you may want to consider placing the ownership of those assets in the name of your trust. Then you can eventually allow the trust to take over any payments on any assets listed. But remember, creating a trust fund is a serious financial decision. So be sure to consult with any professional that is in this arena. That's your not your real estate, but your estate attorneys, as well as your financial advisors. You want to consult with them and make sure that you're doing your due diligence before proceeding. Every bit of information is going to be needed when you're securing this type of document. However, with a bit of creativity and enthusiasm, you can definitely make this process so much fun and so much more exciting for you and your loved ones. We have come to a very short commercial break paid for by our lovely sponsors, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this message.
Yeah, what up, ATL? Look, you ballin', you bad and bougie with bad credit. That's most of y'all. Well, look, man, that's why y'all need to call my people at Exchange Credit Repair. That's right, Exchange Credit Repair will help you squad them inquiries, get rid of them collections and bankruptcy. They'll even take child support off. I didn't even know they put child support on credit. Woo-wee! And boost your credit score. Let's get that credit score where you want so you can go get what you want. And if you mention Streets 945, you get a 35% discount. Hein? So call my people right now at 678-420-5553, 678-420-5553, or visit my people at exchangecreditrepair.info. Exchange Credit Repair is a credit counseling business with experienced credit repair experts standing by to assist you right now. When I made this deal with them, I said, look here, you ain't got to pay me for the commercial. Just put my credit score where I want so I can go get what I want. When I went to them, they treated me like family. My privacy was all the way respected. They quick to fight for a client's right with the Bureau of Credit, creditors, and debt collectors. Conveniently located at 1 West Court Square in Decatur. Tell them Shout sent you.
Creating a trust fund is like having a secret treasure chest that you can fill with all of your precious belongings, from all of your family heirlooms to your hard-earned money. But instead of burying it in the ground or keeping it hidden under your bed, you can entrust it to someone you trust to keep it safe for you, such as a trustee. Trust funds can definitely be used for a variety of different purposes, such as providing your children with education or supporting a loved one that has special needs, or just simply leaving a legacy to your favorite charity or a legacy to your heirs, if you will. One of the key benefits of a trust fund is that it allows you to bypass the probate process, which can definitely be time-consuming, expensive, and very much public. When you create a trust, you transfer your assets into it, and they become the property of that trust. Another advantage of a trust fund is the tax benefits, of course. Depending on the type of trust you create, you may be able to reduce your estate taxes and your income taxes, or both of them, depending on the type of trust. And when you establish a trust account, you will receive a ton of other benefits, such as being able to control the distribution and protecting your assets, of course. However, when you place a Roth IRA into an irrevocable trust, it can provide additional benefits, including control over that particular distribution of that Roth IRA, protection from creditors, and avoiding the probate, of course, and then your tax planning opportunities that come along with that. It's important to always speak to a qualified estate planning attorney to determine which planning estate tools will be appropriate for your specific needs and your goals. Of course, when you do create this trust fund, it's not just about protecting your assets or minimizing taxes. It's always about having that peace of mind, just knowing that your hard-earned money and your cherished possessions will be taken care of accordingly. And that's a piece of comfort within itself. So why not take the plunge and create a trust? It's a simple yet fun, creative way to make your treasure chest of assets that will be protected, managed, and distributed according to your wishes. Plus, you get the satisfaction of knowing that you've taken an important step to secure your financial future and leaving a long-lasting legacy. Trust funds are gift boxes with different rules and different purposes, and each one of them can help you achieve your goals for money and assets. Secure your legacy and let your wealth do the work while you play. As we have come to the end of the show, I really hope that you have enjoyed this episode. Don't hesitate to leave any comments, questions, or concerns or advice that you might have at goaxlala.com. The floor is always open to all of my incredible listeners. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because you don't want to miss out on any of the new and exciting content coming your way. I would like to send you much love, give big thanks for tuning in to No, But Seriously, Let Me Explain. I am your host, DàVie, the one with all the sauce. I will see you again next week with more show for ya. Until then, stay bold, beautiful, and brilliant. Love ya.